Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn has recently gone on record to say that dozens of roles have been cast for the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And in this video, we're going to go over my top picks for characters that are likely to be introduced in this next Guardians movie. Stay tuned.
Bry's Comics.
All right, I want to start off with the 8K giveaway winners. We finally hit 8K, and congratulations to Justin Reddick. Justin, you are the winner of this awesome set of spec books, including this CGC 9.8 slab of Berserker. You get all of these spec books here, Justin. Congratulations to you, and thank you so much for your continued support of the channel. And congratulations to Cowbell TV. You are the winner of this awesome stack of premium books from Dynamite Comics. We got 6 premium raw books here, including some awesome Vampy stuff, and these 2 slabs as well. This awesome Perio Vampy slab and this Red Sonja Perio slab. So congratulations to you, Cowbell TV. And this is your last chance to be entered into the newsletter giveaway over at brycecomics.com. Sign up for the newsletter at brycecomics.com and you're entered to win a free slab each and every month. This month is Black Panther number 25, this beautiful Patrick Gleason Virgin Fine Art exclusive. All you have to do is sign up for the newsletter, and that's it. You're entered to win. And I want to say a sincere thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you that are subscribed to the channel for the continued views and likes and comments. I appreciate each and every one of you. I wish I could give books to every single one of you guys, but unfortunately there's just 2 winners for this. And if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Now's a perfect time to subscribe. There's just bigger and better things in store for Bryce Comics. Probably literally while you're watching this video, I am moving into a new commercial space that I just got, and I hired a full-time store manager so that I can focus more on content and the direction of this channel, which is really the backbone of Bryce Comics and my passion. So there's just bigger and better things in store, including bigger and better giveaways. I can't wait to see what's going to happen for the 10K giveaway. So now's a great time to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And thank you to each and every one of you for all the continued support. So this video is in collaboration with Key Collector Comics. If you don't already have the app, I highly recommend you download it. Use code BRYCECOMICS for a free 2-week trial of the app. There's a whole section on the app called Marvel Movie and TVs that highlights confirmations and rumors for all the upcoming Marvel projects, including a category for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, where you can find all of the books mentioned in this video and then some, and more will be added as more information comes out about the movie. And as pretty much everyone in the comic community is aware, Will Poulter was cast as the actor to play Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which has caused almost all of his key comics to spike and hit the hot and trending lists. And someone asked James Gunn outright on Twitter if other castings have been made, to which James Gunn replied, "Dozens of roles have been cast." Now, it's possible that these dozens of roles are just sideline characters that won't likely have a huge impact on the MCU or comic books, but I think at least a few big introductions will be made or teased in this Guardians movie, which means we are at a perfect time to really consider what characters you want to spec on for Guardians of the Galaxy, because James Gunn also confirms in a tweet that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is neither pulled nor delayed. It's still scheduled for May 5th, 2023. We are scripted and storyboarded, crewed and casted, and ready to go in just a little bit here. We're going to build you guys something beautiful. So the fact that they are going to start filming and that they're already casted and crewed means that there are already castings that have been made that if we just had that juicy information now, we'd be a step ahead of the game. But I think we are just around the corner from getting those confirmations about those castings. And let's take a look real quick at what we know about this movie so far. We know that almost all of the previous Guardians characters will be returning. We know that it will likely focus on Nebula, Gamora, and Mantis, and Rocket Raccoon's origin. And we also have seen James Gunn go on record multiple times saying that it will likely be his last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and likely the last for the current Guardians lineup, which begs the question of where do they go from here? And with all of these things considered, I think it's likely that some more major MCU characters will be introduced in this movie, setting up the cosmic MCU to go in a new direction. So let's jump into these specs, and I will say that I've talked about most of these specs over the past year or so in various videos, but the market has changed a little bit, prices are different, and more info has come to light on many of them. So I think it's worth revisiting these because likely they've been out of sight and out of mind, and we could get these confirmations any day now. First up, we have Captain Marvel number 17. This is the first full appearance of Phyla Vell, the clone daughter of Mar-Vell and Elysius, and this is one that has been rumored since 2019. And I think this new Guardians movie will finally deliver on some of these long-awaited cosmic specs. Warlock, for example, was teased in the post-credit scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That was way back in 2017, and we're only now finally getting that confirmation over 4 years later. And this book, Captain Marvel 17, is actually pretty scarce. It's from 2004, and there's only 48 9.8s on the CGC census. So if this character does hit, there could be a huge demand and low supply, causing this book to skyrocket. And I think if you can find it for around $300, it would still be a solid pickup, but it's going to be hard to find graded copies because there's so few of them. So I think the move to make here would be to put it on your list of books to hunt for in back bins. Next up, we have Thor 134. This is the first appearance of the High Evolutionary, a geneticist obsessed with evolutionary experimentation. It's the first appearance of Man-Beast, a wolf modified by the High Evolutionary, and it's the first cameo appearance of Fafnir. And this is my favorite type of spec because Key Collector actually had an inside source confirm that the High Evolutionary is going to appear in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which caused this book to spike. We're seeing all-time highs for this book, but it's just speculation at this point until it's actually confirmed, at which point I think we will see another spike for this book. And so the reason I love this type of spec is because it means there's less risk when we have an inside source confirmation. And Key Collector Comics inside sources are super solid. The reputation is at stake, and they really don't push stuff like this through the app unless they're very, very confident in it. So with these types of specs, there's also less ROI because we've already seen this book start to spike, but we almost always see a second spike because a huge part of the community doesn't believe it unless they see it on screen or have official confirmation, a term coined by the Pressable Defects called the Agatha effect. And if you guys aren't following the Pressable Defects, I highly recommend you check them out here on YouTube. And this term, Agatha effect, comes from WandaVision, where all signs were pointing towards Agatha Harkness being the main villain for the show. But we didn't believe it until we literally saw it spelled out on screen. And there's good reason for the Agatha effect. We've been hoodwinked and Easter egged so many times by Marvel that I completely understand why some people don't shell out the dough until they see it on the screen. But I was shocked to see how many people actually weren't sure if Warlock was ever actually going to come to the MCU after seeing his cocoon in the post-credit scenes of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But it's because of the Agatha effect, and that's likely what's going to happen with the High Evolutionary as well. Even though we have this inside source confirmation, it hasn't been officially confirmed, and when it is, I think this book will likely see another spike. Next on the list, we have Iron Man 54. This is the first appearance of Madame McEvil, the daughter of Drax, later referred to by the name Moondragon, and Madame McEvil becomes Moondragon in Daredevil number 105. And she's been rumored for the MCU for quite some time as well, and Moondragon and Phyla Vell are lovers in the comics, so they kind of go together. They have ties to Thanos, and I think that there are plenty of ways that the MCU could introduce this character. And what I love most about this spec is that the classic cover. You've got this classic Submariner versus Iron Man, which will carry this book even if we don't get Moondragon in the MCU. And again, these characters are deeply embedded in the cosmic Marvel universe, so there's really any number of ways that the MCU can introduce them. Next up, we have Nova number 1 from 1976, the first appearance and origin of Nova, Richard Rider, the first appearance of Roman Day, a corpsman of the Nova Corps, first appearance of Robbie Rider, the brother of Nova. And this is a book that at today's prices, I think many of us will wish we had the opportunity to buy at this price again. This is probably the most likely book to hit on this entire list. I think it's a slam dunk because the MCU maintains its intention to use both versions of Nova in the MCU, Richard Rider and Sam Alexander. And this opens up the door to so many different books, especially with all the keys for Sam Alexander. And I think all of those keys prices today will be eclipsed in the future when we get confirmation for these characters. So the question is not so much if, but when we will see these two Novas introduced in the MCU. And Kevin Feige goes on record to say that Nova has immediate potential to enter the MCU. And when asked point blank about which version, would it be Richard or would it be Sam, he said, well, yes and yes. And then he went on to say how time is relative and how long it took for Doctor Strange to come to fruition. And as we saw with Warlock, sometimes these things can be on the table for years and years before they come to fruition. But personally, if you were on the fence about this character, I think now would be the time to act. We're seeing a dip for Nova #1. It peaked at 2470 this year for a CGC 9.8, and the two most recent sales are 1750 and 1800. Next up, we have Nova #1 from Volume 5. This is the first solo titled series featuring Nova Sam Alexander, and it's also the first appearance of Jesse and Ava Alexander, the parents of Sam, and the first appearance of Kaylin Alexander, the sister of Sam. And if we get Sam in the MCU, there is a possibility that we get some of his family as well, because his family plays an important role in his origin story. But that's basically just bonus spec for this book, the anchor being that this is his first solo series, and it has an epic cover for an issue #1 that will draw a lot of collectors. Be on the lookout for the 1 in 100 and the 1 in 150 Joe Quesada incentive covers. These next two go together because they are both related to Quasar. We have Captain America 217, the first team appearance of S.H.I.E.L.D. super agents in Blue Streak, Falcon, Marvel Man, Texas Twister, and Vamp. And this is also the first full appearance of Marvel Man, who later officially becomes Quasar in Incredible Hulk 234. And the spec for this comes from way back in 2017 when James Gunn tweeted an image of a Quasar brand VCR. And the reason I think this is highly likely in the upcoming Guardians movie is because back in 2017 was also when we got the post-credit scene for Warlock, and I think it is likely that at this time decisions were made about future introductions for the MCU, and is why Gunn tweeted about this and we haven't heard anything about it since. Like I said, I think we're finally going to start to get some of these long-awaited cosmic specs in this next Guardians movie. And James Gunn is notorious for shooting down false rumors and castings, etc. on Twitter, so I really don't think he would post this unless it was going to happen. There have been many different versions of Quasar in the comics, but both of these issues stand to increase in value because they are important to the character regardless of which version they use. But I do prefer Cap 217 because Hulk 234 is literally just a panel that says, "Call me Quasar." So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think lies ahead for the Guardians of the Galaxy? Do you think they'll make a Volume 4, or do you think they'll go in a completely different direction? What keys did I miss that you think are worthy cosmic specs? Don't forget you can check out a full list of Guardians of the Galaxy related specs on Key Collector app under the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 category, where new stuff will be added if we get more info. Sign up for the newsletter at brightscomics.com and you're entered to win that free slab, and we'll get a new slab announced here in just a little while. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bry's Comics.